This video tutorial is brought to you by tipsquirrel.com. For all the best Photoshop and Lightroom tips, follow @tipsquirrel on Twitter or go to facebook.com/tipsquirrel. Hi everybody, Mike Hoffman here, and today we're going to be looking at some tips for retouching in Photoshop using Photoshop's healing tools, and they're found over here in the tool panel or by using the letter J on the keyboard. Here I've got an image of an old Porsche, and this Porsche was shot at a car show, and it's got some scratches and some dings, and we want to remove some of these blemishes before finishing the image. You might also encounter this type of distraction if you're working with a photo that may have been scanned. You'll find dust, scratches, and other debris on the image that you'll want to remove before you take it to the next step. Photoshop's healing tools make great work of this, but there are some tips that you should be aware of if you're going to be using these tools. We're going to start with the spot healing brush, which again is the letter J on the keyboard, and we can resize this as we would any other brush by pressing the right and left square bracket keys to increase and decrease the size of the brush. Now before we start using this brush, we should take a look up here at the toolbar options and make sure that we're set to content aware. This is Adobe's new technology, and it makes this type of healing work very effective. Now we're going to come down here onto the image, and what I want to do is take my brush and just brush over a blemish. And when I release, we can see that it's been removed. So this is very effective on these small areas like this. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I'm working on my background layer. If I make a mistake here, or if I try to do a retouch and it doesn't go the way I want it to, I've started to destroy my background and I've got no fallback. So what I'm going to do is press Ctrl Z or Command Z a few times until we've undone everything that we had done up to that point. Now I'm going to select my bottom layer again, but this time I'm going to go to the bottom of the layers panel and I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to do my retouching on this new layer, and that's going to give me an insurance policy in case I make any mistakes. Now I can bring my healing brush over here to this spot and paint over it, but nothing happens. And the reason is that the healing brush is working on the current layer only. However, the healing brush has an option here in the toolbar to sample all layers. And when we click this, we'll now be able to pick up the details from any underlying layers. So once again, we'll heal over the top of these blemishes. And now we've placed that healing on this new layer. We can turn that layer off and on, and we can even adjust the opacity of that layer if we want. And I'm going to go ahead and change the name of this layer, and I'm going to call it Spot Healing. Now at this point, we can continue around our image, and we can take out additional spots and just work around to remove the distractions and in general to clean up this image. Now we've got a pretty big dent or scratch here, and we can get rid of some of this with the spot healing brush as well, but it may not do the best job. We may need to switch to the clone stamp tool, which is found here under the toolbar or by pressing the letter S. And when we use the clone stamp tool, we have a similar option to sample all layers. We could sample the current layer and anything underneath, or all layers. And we'll go ahead and set this to all layers, and then we'll use that to bring some of the texture over here to backfill in this area where we've done a healing job. So we can use the clone stamp and the healing brush together to remove these types of distractions from our image. Now we may get to a spot like this where the healing brush just doesn't seem to do a good job. We could try the clone stamp tool, but the patch tool is another healing tool that also features content aware technology. Up here in the options panel, we'll want to make sure that we select content aware, and once again we'll want to choose this option to sample all layers. Working on the spot healing layer, we can drag a selection around this area that we want to fix, and then we can drag out to choose a source for the repair, and that's pretty good. we can do the same thing here. So again, we're working completely non-destructively. All the repairs are being done on this spot healing layer, and if we made a mistake and we didn't like the way that it looked, worst case is we could switch to our eraser tool and just erase away some of those repairs and then go back to our patch tool or the spot healing brush or any of the other tools and go back and redo that repair. We're working completely non-destructively. So I'll go ahead and zoom out to the full image, and I'll show you that I've actually gone through and removed all the spots from this image, and I'm toggling them on and off here, and you can see the result. So that's quite a useful way of working when you've got an image that has a lot of small distractions. Use the healing technology within Photoshop to remove those distractions. Once you've done that, you can go through and add your finishing touches. In this case, I've added some clarity using Topaz Clarity. I've added a bit of a glow with NYX Color Efex Pro 4. I've brightened up the image with some curves. And last but not least, I've added just a little bit of extra star effect from Topaz using Topaz Star Effects. These finishing touches are more effective and carry more impact because we took the time to clean up this image before running those special effects. So once again, to summarize, when you're retouching with any of the healing tools or with the clone stamp, make sure you've set the tool to use the content aware technology, and make sure you've set sample all layers and you're working on a secondary layer. This gives you flexibility in your retouching, and it gives you a fallback to your original data. My name is Mike Hoffman. My website is hoffmanartdesign.com. You'll find a variety of Photoshop, Lightroom, and photography tips, tricks, and other information there. You can follow me on Twitter at mhoffman2001, or you can find me on Google Plus by simply going to gplusmikehoffman.com. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.